There are 4 voice parts in a barbershop quartet: lead, tenor, baritone, and bass. The lead part sings the melody. The melody is what we recognize as the tune of the song. The tenor part sings harmony notes above the lead. The bass part sings harmony pitches below the lead. The baritone part then sings whatever pitch is left in the chord, and it weaves higher and lower than the lead part throughout. For example, if the quartet is singing in F minor 7th, and the bass is on the F, the lead is on the C, and the tenor is on the E flat, the baritone takes what is left, which is the A flat. If the quartet is singing a B flat 7th chord, and the bass takes a B flat, the lead takes an F, and the tenor takes a D, baritone takes the note that is left in the chord, which is the A flat. So the baritone makes the chord complete after the other parts are decided. Before I have you answer the questions, I'm going to let you hear each of the voice parts by themselves. The melody is sung by the lead. This is the tune everybody recognizes. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. The tenor part sings pitches above the lead. Barbershop tenor parts are often sung in falsetto. When boys hit 7th and 8th grade, or sometimes 9th grade, they have a voice change and their voice becomes lower, but they can still hit the higher notes using falsetto. Let's hear the tenor. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You're now going to hear the bass part. The bass sings pitches below the lead. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Now you're going to hear the baritone part. The baritone part weaves above and below the lead, filling in whatever note is left in the chord. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Now you are ready to identify each voice part. Listen to this and identify the voice part. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the tenor part. It is higher than the lead and sung in falsetto. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard bass, because it's the lowest voice part. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the tenor part. It's higher than the lead, and it is sung in falsetto. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the lead, because it's the melody. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the bass. It's the lowest voice part and sings pitches that are in harmony below the lead. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the baritone part. It fills in whatever note is left in the chord after the lead, bass, and tenor are established. What is this voice part? Fly, Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the baritone again. It's the part that fills in whatever's left in the chord. Before continuing, I'm going to give you a little more information. If you have more than one pitch sounding at the same time, it is called harmony. If you have 3 or more pitches sung or played at the same time, it's called a chord. A chord that only has 3 notes is called a triad. Chords that have 4 different notes are most often 7th chords. They can also be 6 chords, as well as several other types of chords, but we're going to focus on the 7th chords for now. Name this voice part. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the bass part. It's the lowest voice part. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the tenor part. The tenor sings harmony above the lead. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the baritone. Another thing to say about the baritone, it's pretty much in the same range as the lead, but it just doesn't sound like the melody because the notes are all different. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the lead. It's the melody. What is the word for when there is more than one pitch played or sung at the same time? The word is harmony. When you have 2 pitches played at the same time, it's called a harmonic interval. What do you call it when there are 3 or more pitches played or sung at the same time? It's called a chord. Listen to the next set of notes being played. Listen to the following examples. If you hear both voices singing the same pitch, it is called unison. If one of the 2 voices is singing a different pitch than the other, it's called harmony. The answer is unison because both voices were singing the same pitch at the same time. Next one, harmony or unison. The answer is unison again, because both voices were singing the same pitch at the same time. Next example, harmony or unison. The answer is harmony, because one voice was on a high pitch and the other voice was on a lower pitch at the same time. Next example, harmony or unison. The answer is unison, because both voices were singing the same pitch at the same time. Next example, harmony or unison. The answer is harmony, because one voice was singing a low pitch while the other voice was singing a high pitch at the same time. Let's name some more barbershop voice parts. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard lead because it's the melody. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard bass because it's the harmony notes below the melody. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard baritone. It sort of sounds like the same range as the lead, but it almost sounds like the lead is singing the wrong notes because those are the harmonies that go with the melody. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard bass. It's the lowest voice part in the Barbershop quartet and sings harmony below the lead. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard tenor. Tenor sings harmony above the lead. Previously in this video, I told you the word for what type of voice adult men use to sing extra high notes. It's a different type of voice. The voice is called falsetto. What is this voice part? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard lead. It's the melody. It's the tune of the song. Let's see if you remember a few more words that you learned earlier in this video. What is it called when two or more voices are singing at the same time and they are all singing the same pitch as each other? The word is unison. Unison literally breaks up into two words, uni, which means one, like unicycle and unicorn, and son, which means sound. So you're really hearing one pitch, even though there's multiple voices singing it. What do you call it when you have several voices singing and each voice is on a different pitch at the same time? It's called harmony. Earlier in this lesson, what did I call it when you hear two pitches at the same time? It's called a harmonic interval. What was the word I gave you for three or more pitches at the same time? It's called a chord. So a chord has three or more pitches, but what if the chord specifically has only three pitches? What do we call that? You heard the term earlier in this lesson. Triad. What type of chord would have four pitches at the same time? You heard this earlier in the lesson. A seventh chord. Let's make this more fun. Now I'm going to play you two voice parts at the same time. It could be lead bass, it could be tenor lead, it could be baritone bass, etc. Example 1. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Which two voice parts did you just hear? You just heard lead and bass. Example number 2. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Which two voice parts did you just hear? Bass and tenor. Example number 3. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Which two voice parts did you just hear? Lead and baritone. Next example. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Which two voice parts did you just hear? You heard baritone and bass. Next example. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. That was lead and tenor. What two voice parts are you hearing now? Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. You just heard the baritone and the baritone. So you heard the same pitch sung at the same time by two different voices. What did we say that was called earlier in this video? It is called unison. So the baritone and the baritone were singing unison with each other. What is it called when you have the baritone singing their part and the lead singing their part, making two pitches at the same time? It's called harmony. How many harmony parts are in a barbershop quartet? There are 4 harmony parts in a barbershop quartet. So those past exercises were so easy that I'm going to now have you name 3 at a time. Example number 1. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Which 3 voice parts did you hear? You just heard tenor, baritone, bass. Name the next 3 voice parts sung together. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Which 3 voice parts did you hear? You just heard lead, baritone, bass. Listen to the next example. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. What 3 voice parts did you just hear? You just heard tenor, lead, baritone. Next example. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. What did you just hear? You heard 3 basses. What is it called when multiple voices sing together, but they're all singing the same pitch as each other? You heard this earlier in this video several times. It's called unison. What is it called when you hear more than one pitch at the same time, either being sung or played? It's called harmony. Now you will get to hear all 4 voice parts together: tenor, lead, baritone, bass. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Now you heard all 4 voice parts of the barbershop quartet. In a quartet, how many people are singing? 4 people. If all 4 people are singing and they are all on the same pitch, what is it called? It's called unison. What is it called if the 4 people are singing and they are all on different pitches? It's called harmony. Specifically 4-part harmony because there are 4 different pitches. And what did I say the specific word for harmony when you have 3 or more pitches at the same time? It's called a chord. What do you call it when there are just 2 different pitches being sung or played at the same time? It's called a harmonic interval. I am going to let you listen to all 4 parts of this arrangement one more time. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. What voice part sings the melody? That is the lead. What is the lowest voice part? That is the bass. What is the highest voice part that sings harmony above the lead? That is the tenor. Which voice part fills in whatever note is missing from the chord to make it have 4 different pitches. That is the baritone. Fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory.